Driving alone through the desolate desert at 2 a.m., I saw him emerge from the inky blackness, a silhouette gesturing by the roadside. Feeling a cold dread before even stopping, wondering why my gut screamed danger. I hesitated, but something compelled me to pull over, an unexplainable urge overriding every alarm bell screaming inside my rational mind. Watching his slow, deliberate approach in my rearview mirror, a knot tightening. He slid into the passenger seat without a word, the air instantly growing thick with an unsettling chill. And then, a voice, raspy and low, whispered, "Thanks for stopping, Alex. Knew you would eventually." Freezing my blood. My heart hammered against my ribs, an ice-cold wave of terror washing over me, because I had never seen this man before in my entire life, yet he spoke my name with such familiar, casual dread, an impossible familiarity.
I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, trying desperately to formulate a question, but no sound escaped my parched throat, the silence between us now vibrating with an unbearable, ominous tension. He merely stared ahead, a faint, unsettling smile playing on his lips, occasionally humming an unfamiliar, discordant tune that seemed to seep into my very bones, each note echoing a growing, profound sense of dread. My mind raced through every possible explanation, from a twisted prank to something far more sinister and supernatural, but each thought only deepened the suffocating, inescapable panic building inside my chest relentlessly. Finally, he pointed to a non-existent turnoff in the pitch-black darkness, his eyes meeting mine in the mirror, declaring, "This is where we part ways, Alex. Remember me," before vanishing as I slammed on the brakes, leaving only fog.
Rain lashed down relentlessly on my windshield as I drove through the deserted stretch of Route 66, when suddenly a figure appeared by the roadside, soaked, shivering, and looking utterly lost in the storm. Against my better judgment, a surge of misplaced sympathy made me stop, the flickering dashboard lights barely illuminating his gaunt, pale face as he quickly opened the back door without even asking permission first. The car filled with a strange, damp cold, even with the heater on full blast. And then a whisper, chillingly calm from the back seat, said, "It's good to see you again, Michael," making my blood run completely cold. My grip tightened on the wheel, confusion warring with a deep, unsettling fear as I racked my brain, certain I had never met this person. Yet his voice held a chilling familiarity that defied any logical explanation. I tried to look at him through the rearview mirror, but the darkness in the back seemed to absorb all light, making it impossible to discern any features beyond an unsettling, vague outline of a human form. His whispers continued, narrating details about my life, mundane things I'd never told anyone, almost like he was reading directly from my hidden memories, each revelation twisting a new knot of dread in my stomach. The rain outside intensified, mirroring the escalating panic within me as I realized this wasn't just a random encounter. It felt like a predetermined meeting with something deeply, profoundly unnatural and knowing. Suddenly, the whisper stopped, and a cold breath tickled my neck, just as I saw a roadside cemetery sign. Then the back door clicked open, followed by a heavy silence, leaving me alone in the howling storm, trembling. Deep in the winding mountain roads of Colorado, my engine sputtered, forcing me to pull over just as twilight bled eerie purple into the sky, feeling an immediate, inexplicable sense of vulnerable isolation. That's when I saw him emerge from the dense tree line, a lone figure walking steadily towards my stranded vehicle, carrying a worn backpack, his slow, deliberate pace creating an immediate sense of unease. He approached my window, his face obscured by shadow, and then
A calm, unnervingly familiar voice said, "Trouble, Sarah? Always knew you'd end up here eventually," causing a sickening lurch in my chest. My heart pounded, a primal fear seizing me, because I was certain I had never encountered this person before. Yet his tone implied a shared history, a knowledge of my future that chilled me to the bone.
I stammered, demanding to know who he was, but he simply chuckled, a dry, rustling sound like dead leaves in the wind, and opened my passenger door without waiting for any kind of invitation. He sat beside me, emanating a strange, earthy smell of damp soil and forgotten things, then began recounting obscure details about my childhood, events only my deceased grandmother could possibly have known. Panic surged, a suffocating wave, as I realized this entity wasn't just a stranger. It felt like a piece of my own history, or maybe something far older, had manifested itself solely to confront me now. He smiled then, a knowing, ancient grin, whispering, "Your path diverged here, Sarah. Choose wisely next time," before he faded into the encroaching darkness, leaving only the chilling scent of damp earth and utter despair. Driving through the scorching Arizona desert, miles from any town, I spotted a figure by the highway, clad in dusty, anachronistic clothing, raising a hand in a gesture that felt both ancient and eerily familiar. My car, almost on empty, seemed to guide itself towards him, an impulse stronger than my usual caution, and he opened the passenger door before I even fully stopped, an unnerving, silent anticipation. He settled in, his eyes like polished obsidian, fixed on me with an unsettling intensity. Then, with a voice like rustling dry leaves, he stated, "Journey's end nears, David. I've been expecting you," making my stomach drop. A jolt of pure terror went through me because my name, David, was uttered with a possessive certainty by a man I swore I'd never seen, as if I were a foreseen appointment rather than a random act. He pointed to a faint, barely visible track branching off the main road, his movements deliberate and unhurried, describing landmarks I'd never heard of, yet sounding intimately connected to my unwritten destiny. His gaze remained fixed on me, revealing hidden fears and aspirations I'd never voiced, speaking of choices I hadn't made yet, with a casual prescience that felt overwhelmingly invasive and deeply unnerving. I felt a growing, desperate need to escape this suffocating encounter, an entity who knew too much, whose very presence seemed to warp the fabric of reality around us, making the desert feel profoundly alien. "You'll find what you seek, David," he rasped, dissolving into the swirling dust at the next bend, leaving me alone with an empty fuel gauge and an unshakable, terrifying sense that my fate was already sealed. A thick, pea-soup fog descended as I drove through rural Oregon, visibility dropping to mere feet, when I saw a figure materialize almost directly in my headlights, standing unnaturally still on the shoulder. My instinct screamed to keep driving, but something held my foot to the brake, an unseen force compelling me to stop and offer a ride, feeling an unsettling pull I couldn't possibly explain. He opened the rear passenger door silently, a woman with unnaturally pale skin and dark, bottomless eyes, and her voice, soft yet chilling, whispered, "Thank you for stopping, Emily. I knew you'd see me," from the back seat. A cold dread permeated my entire being, making my teeth chatter involuntarily, as I realized this strange woman knew my name, a name I had never shared with anyone on this secluded, forgotten stretch of highway. I tried to speak, to ask who she was, but the words caught in my throat, replaced by a suffocating tightness, as if the fog itself had seeped into my lungs, stealing my voice away entirely.
She described events from my past, things only I knew. Her voice, a soft, hypnotic drone that seeped into my consciousness, making the world outside the car feel utterly unreal, blurring all boundaries. Every detail she uttered solidified a terrifying truth. This wasn't a human being. It was something ancient, something that had waited for me specifically within the shroud of this thick, unnatural, oppressive fog. "Your destination is not on this map, Emily," she whispered, her form dissolving slowly into the seat as the fog outside thickened further, leaving behind an unbearable silence and the chilling scent of damp, decaying earth.
Late one night, driving through a desolate stretch of abandoned highway in New Mexico, I saw a woman standing silently by the roadside, bathed in the eerie glow of my headlights, seemingly waiting just for me. A cold shiver ran down my spine, but a strange, compelling curiosity, almost like a command, forced me to slow down and eventually pull over, my heart pounding with an unknown apprehension. She opened the passenger door herself, her movements eerily fluid, and then, with eyes that seemed to hold untold centuries of sorrow, she murmured, "Hello, Sarah. I've been waiting a very long time," her voice a mournful sigh. My breath hitched, a wave of cold terror washing over me, because her knowing glance and the use of my exact name, Sarah, felt like an intimate violation, a connection to something utterly terrifying and inexplicable. I tried to engage her, to understand how she knew me, but she only gazed straight ahead, a faint, melancholic smile playing on her lips, her silence more unnerving than any explanation she could offer. She began to hum a forgotten lullaby, a melody that resonated deep within my soul, stirring forgotten memories and a sense of profound loss, as if she were awakening ancient pains within me. It became terrifyingly clear this wasn't merely a person, but a manifestation of grief or memory, a spectral echo from the past, intertwined with my own existence, now revealed on this deserted highway. "Some stories never end, Sarah," she whispered, her form fading with the first light of dawn, leaving only a lingering scent of dust and ancient sorrow in the passenger seat. A chilling, eternal reminder.